You're welcome back. This is the law. It's your legal light. It's your health law. And I'll ask you to help me welcome to the show this afternoon Sani Mahmoud Abdul Rashid. He is public defender, legal aid officer at the Legal Aid Commission here in Accra. Nancy Tete is also a legal aid officer with the Legal Aid Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for making time to join us.
We're happy to
be
here.
So we always start the show with what we call the Law 101. I'm going to read a provision of the Legal Aid Commission Act, and then you will try to explain that to us in some 2 minutes by way of what we call the Law 101. And on the Law 101, what we try to do is that by the time we're done with this show, if you don't remember anything at all, you should get that empowerment, that education. So in Section 2 of the law that sets up the commission, Section 2 says object of the commission. It reads, the object of the commission is to provide legal aid to A, an indigent, and B, a person who has reasonable grounds to take, defend, prosecute, or be a party to proceedings related to the Constitution in accordance with Clause 1 of Article 294 of the Constitution. So let's start. Mahmoud, what does it mean to say that the object of your commission is to provide legal aid to an indigent? It means that your services are not available to everybody.
Yes. So what this provision simply says is that legal aid is available to persons who are in conflict with the law and they don't have the necessary means to hire the services of lawyers. Poor people, people who cannot, for some reason, pay for legal services. Simplicity.
Right. Nancy, what will you say to add to that? It says the commission is to provide legal aid to an indigent and a person who has reasonable grounds to take, defend, prosecute, or be a party to proceedings related to the Constitution in accordance with Clause 1 of Article 294 of the Constitution.
Samson, what I would have to say is that an indigent person is a person who legally is unable to financially secure legal representation and to provide all other necessary expenses of representation in an action or proceeding in court.
So, like Sani said earlier, the poor.
Yes. And
he says, a person who has reasonable grounds to take, defend, prosecute, or be a part of legal proceedings. Yes, Sani, what would you add to that?
So in addition, they are saying that for some reason, there are persons who might have reasonable grounds to take up actions which fundamentally is against their rights, for which reason they feel like enforcing.
They must go to court.
They must go to
and yet
court.
They don't have money.
Yes, they don't have money. So this provision says that such persons, legal aid must be available for such persons who have issues with the law, the Constitution, and for its enforcement, they feel they don't have the necessary means, but still have the right to take those things on.
Right.
So legal aid should be available for such persons. So to the extent that if anybody is denied his right to vote, essentially, it's something that the Constitution has given to him. Right. He has that right. So for if any reason he has been disenfranchised, he can come to the legal aid, and legal aid must be available for such a person.
So it's not only people who have money who can go and hire a lawyer who can assert their rights in that regard.
Yes.
And Nancy, it again says to defend, so that some action has been taken against this person who is poor, but they don't have the money to do what? Put up a defense, hire a lawyer to put up a defense.
Yes.
So what can you really say to expand on this for our audience to appreciate?
Yes, the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution, gives unto citizens equality before the law, right to a counsel of our choice,
Right.
and right to a fair trial. And therefore, poverty should not be a barrier in accessing legal aid.
Okay. And that's,
just
that's quite significant. Poverty should not be a barrier to accessing justice.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just going to add that if you look at the Constitution, issues of fair trial and everything, you would have persons. Fundamentally, what legal aid seeks to do is to say that the fact that you are poor should not deny you quality access to justice.
Okay.
So to the extent that you don't have money, but a case has been brought against you from the point of an arrest all throughout to the point where you are either convicted or acquitted, you should have the right to counsel.
Right.
Even if you don't have the necessary means.
Right. And you mentioned earlier fair trial.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. And that will be by way of our Law 101, Good Education for All of Us, Section 2 of the Legal Aid Commission Act 2018. Now, let's get into it a lot more. And at the right time, we'll open the phone lines for you to join us with your questions and comments, particularly on questions of how to access legal aid. And that is what we are dealing with. My guests are Sani Mahmoud Abdul Rashid. He is a public defender and legal aid officer at the Legal Aid Commission, and Nancy Tete is also legal aid officer at the Legal Aid Commission. Now, when we say legal aid, for starters, what do we mean? Yes, Nancy, if we start with you.
Okay. Legal aid is a public institution created by statute, the 1992 Constitution, Article 294, to ensure that free legal services are provided to citizens of Ghana.
So the underlining expression would be free legal services.
Yes.
Right.
The Constitution also mentions to the vulnerable, to an indigent, and we've already defined who an indigent is.
Right.
Somebody who does not have the resources or an impoverished person to engage the services of a lawyer.
Right.
So you know that litigation in our part of the world is very expensive. Very expensive.
Right. And for those of you who joined us in our first segment where we spoke about compelling pro bono legal services, you will appreciate what that means, that it's an expensive enterprise. And therefore, this is an avenue for those who cannot afford to be given the opportunity. And as Sani, expanded quite elaborately so that you can be represented from the start to the end. So, there are many poor people. How do you determine that this person can or is qualified to get your services?
Okay, so for starters, before we get to the point where we are able to assess whether or not you qualify, there are different ways by which a person gets to the legal aid office or gets legal assistance from legal aid. A person might walk into the office to make an application for legal aid. Somebody in custody through a relative might also come to the office to make an application on behalf of the one who is in custody. The court also can refer a case before it to the legal aid for legal assistance for the person. And sometimes from other institutions, Shiraj, the police themselves, DOFSU, and all other public institutions, they make such referrals to the Legal Aid Commission. Now, when somebody comes to the Legal Aid Commission to make an application, as we have already said, our main purpose is to ensure that the indigent, the people who are vulnerable and cannot hire the services of lawyers, are given priority because we are trying to focus on such persons. There is a way by which we determine whether somebody qualifies or not. Now, the qualification, we have the means test, we have the merit test.
The means test, the merit test.
And we also have the reasonable test.
Reasonable test.
Ground test. Reasonable
means,
ground test, yes.
Merit, reasonable grounds test.
Yes.
Please explain this to us so that as someone is watching, listening now, will know where they fit, whether they qualify through the means test or the merit test or the reasonable grounds test.
Okay, so let's start with the reasonable grounds test.
Okay.
You earlier read the section 2 of the Act.
Right.
And Article 294. It's talking about the enforcement of the provisions of the Constitution. Now, if somebody walks into the legal aid offices and says that my rights have been violated and my fundamental human rights are such that I need to enforce them. Now, we don't just get up and go to court. When the person presents his case to you, you will need to make a determination whether or not the basis for wanting to go to court is something that is not frivolous, it's something that is actually well grounded in law. So you would use the reasonable grounds test to check it whether or not legally he is entitled to those rights he's claiming have been violated, whether or not there is actually a good chance of being able to enforce that right he is talking about. And so for that kind of a situation, that is the test you use. Now, for the means test, somebody comes to make an application and you want to be sure that the person who is making that application actually is such a person who qualifies for the service, and whether or not he falls within the acceptable minimum wage. So to the extent that you don't give the service to people who can actually pay for those services, you give it to people who need it most and are vulnerable. So some of the criteria is that you will do some further investigation to find out whether such person who has come before you is actually who he claims to be, and is actually someone who cannot really afford for that service. Some background investigations are done. The reason is that over the years, some persons, because they hear legal aid, they actually, even at some point, because of payment, would just tell their lawyer, listen, I want a lawyer from legal aid. Some people would come and park somewhere and then walk into the offices pretending to be. So we do some background check just to be sure that we prioritize the vulnerable and persons who cannot afford the services. Okay. Then for the merit test.
Okay, Samson, before he goes ahead, for the means test, we are looking at the affordability of the applicant.
Okay.
Whether the person is sincere, yes,
so
means
affordability, whether you can afford.
Whether sincerely you can afford or you cannot afford.
Right.
Yes, but then there are exemptions to this means test, so that automatically, if you have a criminal case where the sentence is a death sentence
or life
imprisonment, like murder or manslaughter, you are exempted from proving your means, whether you can afford or not.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then secondly, as we have
It
mentioned,
doesn't matter that you are known in society to be a wealthy
it doesn't
person.
matter. It doesn't matter.
You are entitled.
Matter. Yes.
Because the Constitution says so.
Yes. However, you know the Constitution also says that you are entitled to a right or a choice of your own lawyer.
Yes, a lawyer of your own choice.
So
yeah.
if you want a legal aid lawyer, you are free to come to legal aid. You qualify automatically.
That's the only exemption you have.
No, the other exemption is in civil matters, in the enforcement of the Constitution, as we stated in paragraph 294 of the 1992 Constitution.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyone who wants to defend the Constitution, yes.
You don't have to be poor.
You don't have to be poor
To access legal aid.
at all. You don't have
for
to
a
be
defense
poor.
of the Constitution.
Yes.
As you mentioned, with the example of being disenfranchised as a voter.
Yes.
Oh, seriously?
So the two automatic qualification for legal aid is for the enforcement of provisions of the Constitution. And where you have criminal cases for which the punishment is death or life
sentence.
Yes.
Okay, right. So please continue.
Yes. So
you were on merit.
To the merit, yes. So just like the reasonable grounds for the merit, simply somebody comes, the person has a civil matter, he comes to the office and then he tells you that this is what I intend to do. He brings you whatever he has or the story. Based on it, you are able to look at the nature of his case, what the law provides for which you can do for him, and based on that, if looking at the evidence in totality, you come to the conclusion that yes, indeed, he has a good case to be enforced.
So whilst means has to do with affordability, merit has to do with the genuineness of your case.
Yes.
The exemption sometimes would be that there's actually somebody who is not an indigent.
Right.
But at a particular time, he's unable to afford the services of a lawyer.
All right. All right. And the last one is the reasonable grounds.
That's where I earlier explained that somebody comes to say that, hey, my fundamental human rights have been infringed upon and I want to enforce them in court. But you would need to listen to him and be sure that what he seeks to enforce actually is something that can be enforceable.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes.
To explain it further, the person must have a cause of action.
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't have a cause of action, we cannot defend you.
Regardless of how you want it.
Yes. But legal aid is not only limited to court representation and the work of lawyers.
Right.
I'm sure you get to
and for our viewers, when we say cause of action, what are we talking about?
So simply...
You really have a case?
Yes.
You really have a case?
Yes.
Okay. My guest on the law this afternoon, as we look at how to access legal aid, are Sani Mahmood, Abdul Rashid, and Nancy Tete. So, Nancy, what are some of the cases that you are normally confronted with? We understand you do a lot of them, and I was at the launch of the Legal Aid Fund, where Nene Amegache, Justice of the Supreme Court, who is the chair of your board, right?
Yes,
had to speak about the numbers of how many cases you have been able to resolve through ADR, and I was surprised that you guys were able to do so much work.
Yes.
So what typically are the cases that come to you? And for those who are watching now, to also think that, well, I have a similar case and I am poor, I can come and get your service.
Okay, we do interstate matters.
Interstate.
Intestacy.
Okay.
Interstate matters, where a person dies, leaving a will, and issues come about with the distribution of the property. We do them, we represent them. Where a person dies interstate.
Without a will.
Without a will, yes, we also do that. Sometimes families are not able to agree to how the properties need to be shared. We also do...
A lot of the times, particularly women, widows,
Yes,
and
yes.
their children
So we
become
have-
vulnerable.
yes,
they are
yes.
being deprived.
Yes.
So this is where you come in to help them.
Yes.
Okay.
So we help in interpreting the interstate succession law, PNDC law 111, in accordance with the sharing of property.
Okay.
Yes. Then we also do insurance claims. We also do property claims. We also do matrimonial causes. We also do maintenance issues on paternity, issues on...
When we say matrimonial causes,
Sorry.
please explain that to us. What do you mean by matrimonial causes?
Simply put, marital issues.
Okay.
Yes.
People seeking divorce,
annulment, everything that has to do with the marriage
or the
marriage
family.
setting, properties acquired in the course of marriage.
Okay.
Yes, and we also do paternity tests, family issues, and then property issues.
Okay.
Yes, you just have to qualify, and we would help you.
And in the rank of some of these cases that you get to do, which ones would you say normally dominate what you do? Is it people who are saying, my husband is dead, the family want to take everything away from me and the children, or people who are seeking divorce but don't have, or want to dissolve their marriages but don't have money, people who are seeking, as you said, maintenance, some, as they say, irresponsible guy who doesn't want to take care of their child. Which ones dominate?
So the ones the cases we do, that's the civil side. We have the criminal side.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess I need to take us through that. Which ones do you think dominate? You get a lot.
We get a lot of maintenance cases.
Maintenance?
Yes, maintenance cases.
Child maintenance?
Yes, child maintenance. Fathers who are being irresponsible and are not taking care of their children. Yes, we have a lot of such cases, to the point that we are not even able to represent them in court. We work in conjunction with the Ministry of Gender. Yes, so they come through referral from the courts. They come and then we prepare the maintenance applications. Hardly do we see men coming in for the maintenance applications. It tops all. Then secondly, we have the marital issues. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have women who have been thrown out of their matrimonial home by men and then leaving them stranded with their children. Yes, so we have to represent them. Okay. And also properties acquired in the course of
the one
marriage.
You just said sounds more like domestic, violence matters.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Sunny, you are the public defender.
Yes.
And in your institution, when you say public defender, I see that title for a number of you.
Yes.
What does it mean?
So if you the new act has 3 divisions.
Right.
We have the Public Defenders Division, we have the Citizens Advisory Division, and we have the ADL.
That's right.
Over the years, the number of legal aid lawyers have been woefully inadequate. Now you have a prosecutions department that has over 30 lawyers against some 3-4 lawyers for the defense from the legal aid. So constantly over the years, the conscious effort has always been to get a division that would be well resourced, and then so that at least you can get to assist a lot of people. So that is so for us. We are in that division and we do solely criminal cases.
Okay.
And that's what I have done over the years.
All right.
Now, for senior, you realize that before 2016, where we had non-bailable offenses,
right,
you had lots of murder cases, rape. All of them, they arrest and then they remand.
Yes.
Now, at some point, there was confusion between the police and the prisons as to who were responsible for those remand prisoners. So the police keep them and don't go for them, and then the prisons officers would say that they are the responsibility of the police and not us. So at a point, you found most of them there. What is now happening is that post that Supreme Court striking out the non-bailable offense.
Martin Kpebu versus Attorney General.
You now have most of them who were on remand now ready for the trials.
Okay.
So currently, I am handling about 20 murder cases, just me. My colleagues are handling a lot more. So at the end of the day, we are now getting to have lots of these murder cases who were just on remand waiting
Right.
for trial. So currently, I think it's the murder cases, we have manslaughter, we have some rape cases, but other cases that are on the increase are defrauding by false pretenses, and also some robbery cases, yes.
Okay.
So those have been on the increase as well.
And in these cases, the persons you are representing
Yes.
will be mostly, apart from the murder manslaughter
Yes.
ones, will be people who simply cannot afford.
Most of them.
Okay.
Some of them, especially for those murder and then other trials on indictment, some of them, their families have abandoned them because at the time of arrest, they invested so much money in getting lawyers for them. Some of the lawyers, according to some of the family members, are that they never informed them that those courts had no jurisdiction to deal with the matters. So they gather all the money paid to the lawyers. All they hear is adjournment, and then they lose interest.
And now money too is
abandon them.
finished.
Now, when the cases are ready for trial, the family would have abandoned them. Then the judges will now have to refer to the legal aid.
Okay.
For us to.
All right. Now we can take it off, Nancy, from that point. Judges referring to the legal aid. How do I get to the Legal Aid Commission and say, I have a case, help me?
Okay.
He just mentioned judges referring. You also mentioned earlier maybe reference from gender ministry or maybe the police, domestic violence, maybe things like that. How else? I am sitting at my home, I'm watching the law right now, and I'm listening to you, and you say that I'm qualified either by the means, the merit, or the reasonable grounds test.
Okay.
How do I access your services?
Okay. Is it from the judge's perspective?
I'm sitting somewhere,
You do
and
a
I'm hearing
walk-in.
you say that
You do a walk-in.
I can get service.
Yes. So you do a walk-in to our office. We are in the premises of the Council for Law Reporting.
That is in Accra.
In Accra.
Okay.
In Accra. And you can also look out.
We're speaking to the whole of Ghana.
You can also look out for the other offices. We are present in almost all the regions now.
The original
10 regions, yes. And you walk into a legal aid office and you'll be attended to. You'll be made to fill the form. And when you fill the form, you would state your means, how much you earn. If you work, it will be stated how much you get at the end of the month. If you don't work, you also state it. If you're a trader, you state it. So we call it the application form. The application form would leave the intake officer to the lawyer's desk. There's a lawyer who's going to interview you and to render advice if need be. And then if there's anything else to do in terms of court representation, in terms of ADR, we recommend ADR when the matter is
Alternative
not in court.
Dispute Resolution.
Sorry, alternative dispute resolution.
Right.
Yes.
You mentioned intake officer.
Yes.
Is that the first person I meet when I come to your office?
Yes, that's the first person.
And what would the person be doing?
The person has a form. Rashid, if you can open the
So they take the biodata, your biodata.
Okay.
Yeah, the biodata, all your details. This is a
Sample
form.
of it.
Okay.
It's a sample of how the legal aid form is.
All right.
So the intake officer, if you are literate, you can fill it out yourself.
Okay.
If you are not literate, the intake officer would help you. And
It's
usually-
basically asking for your first name, middle name, other names, your ID number, your gender, if you're male, female, your age, your marital status, your nationality, your date of birth. Yes, and the means test is there. Okay, means test. Are you employed? Yes, no. What is your qualification? If yes, what job do you do? Do you have any income? Yes, no. If you have, then you indicate how much you earn. Okay, right, that's interesting. And then there's the type of case you want to be done for you.
Case.
Okay, type of case, main charge, case details. Is the case already in court? If it's already in court, what is the suit number? Name of the court, magistrate court, circuit court, high court, appeal court, supreme court. Okay, courtroom number. Yeah, so basic. You can actually fill this out if you are literate.
Yes.
That is an important point.
Yeah.
If I'm not literate, what happens?
If you are not literate, the intake officer will help you to fill it. So as an intake officer, you should be able to know or speak one of any of the local languages. Yes.
It's not that clear, but let's try and see if we can show you how the application form looks like. And you are here on the law. This is your legal light. It is your help law. And we're dealing with how to access legal aid. We're seeking to empower you and give you information as how to access legal aid. That is free legal services. It's free to you, but the state is paying through the lawyers that the state has employed in the Legal Aid Commission to assist you. And here in the studio helping us to understand these issues are Nancy Tete and Sani Mahmoud Abdul Rashid from the Legal Aid Commission.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Samson, it will interest you to know that there are friends, people who already know the Legal Aid Commission, they know our procedures, that they have to come and fill the form. So after filling the form once, they come and they know that you'll be asked, how much do you earn? And you earn more than the minimum government wage, let's say 2,000 cedis. And that person was once disqualified by a lawyer. The person will come again later, maybe in another year. If the person comes immediately a week or two later, we would discover the person, yes. But then the person will come a year later, or even 6 months later, and then come and fill the form and say, no, I'm not working. Then, so that person, when the person comes before the lawyer, automatically qualifies.
Sani, that is important to me because I realize that in your law, there's a provision for some punishment for some people.
Yes.
If I come to you and I tell untruth,
Yes.
what happens to me?
Yeah, so you see, the reason we have put it there is because, like I explained earlier, if you are truthful, chances are that you can still get the aid, even though you don't qualify, you don't fall below the minimum wage.
All right.
There are practical situations where we've had persons who have actually told you that I actually have property. I am not indigent. It is just that currently, I just don't have the means to pay for the services of a lawyer. So, under the circumstance, people like that, if some investigations are done and you find out that indeed these are persons who actually need the service at that time because they are in a situation where they cannot afford the services of lawyers, then that exemption can be done. If you fail to be truthful to the commission and they find out that you actually came and lied to us, then you'll be refused legal aid.
Okay. Section 55. Yes, please go ahead with that.
Okay.
Yes, Nancy.
I noticed, okay.
Section 55 is on offenses, and it says a person who makes a false declaration in an application commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 150 penalty units and not more than 250 penalty units, or a term of imprisonment of not less than 1 year or not more than 2 years. So, a penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis. So 150, 12 times 150, or 12 times 12 times 150, or 12 times 250. You do the calculation for yourself, or you could also go to jail for 1 year and not more than 2 years for going to the Legal Aid Commission and telling lies. So please don't do that. As Sani just said, you could actually get the services without necessarily being poor and not being somebody who earns less than the minimum wage.
Yeah.
A person who contravenes a provision of this act for which a penalty is not provided commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 250 penalty units.
Yes.
Interesting. So we will shortly, in the next few minutes, open the phone lines for you to join us. This is your legal light. It is your... So I wanted to bring to your attention something here. Yes. I find that somehow you can call on someone who, you can call for what the law calls monetary contribution by applicants.
Yes.
When does that happen? What does that mean?
Yeah, so if you look at the law, it makes provision for...
Yes, Section 40.
Yes. It makes provision for situations where people would contribute to the legal aid. Now, what happens is that we've always told people out there that although we give help and aid to people freely, as a matter of fact, we ourselves, we need aid. The attention that over the years is improved. But unlike the Attorney General's department, where government gives them all the attention because the government says that their responsibility is to fight crime, and they see it as enforcing the police, empowering the police and the Attorney General's department to fight crime.
Okay.
Now, the same energies have not been the same when it comes to legal aid, because it's more like we are empowering these two institutions to fight crime, and then we are empowering you to also defend the people that we are empowering these people to, arrest and then prosecute. Now, we have had lots of issues, office space, and then all the other things, our problems. So in the law, some persons who have come to benefit from legal aid, some persons who have heard about the good works we have done or we've been doing at legal aid, this gives them an opportunity to donate to the legal aid and just to help the commission continue to do its work by assisting other people. So
the aspect of donation, isn't that squarely about the fund that has been set up?
Yes.
Where people are supposed to generally donate. But here in Section 40...
This one is talking about the applicants.
Yes, it says the commission may A, impose a condition that requires the applicant to pay an amount to the commission by way of contribution, and B, prior to the grant of an application for legal aid, determine the amount the applicant shall pay towards costs previously awarded in respect of the proceedings. And 2, the Commission may recover an amount payable under subsection 1 as a debt in court.
So,
Can you? Yes.
The clause 1 that says impose a condition that requires the applicant to pay an amount to the Commission by way of contribution. Somebody may come to the offices of legal aid and may be poor, but not an indigent.
Okay.
Yes, but the person may be in the category of the vulnerable. So let's say there may be a nurse. There are categories of nurses. So you come, you fill the form, you state that you earn a salary of 2,000 Ghana cedis. You have 3 children. Your husband is gone. He's not taking care of the children.
Okay.
And you know how much now the basket of fees
Yes, it's a lot.
takes for, let's say, a matrimonial cost or a divorce.
Right.
Yes. For now, it's 30,000 Ghana cedis.
Right.
Can a person who earns 2,000 Ghana cedis be able to pay? So the Act is ensuring that such a person also gets legal aid.
Okay.
But we don't have the regulations now. We don't know how much to charge the person. So if the person walks in now, the person says, I can pay 500 cedis. The office takes it.
Okay.
We use it to buy stationery and all that.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and
in a situation where this person would have gone to a lawyer.
Yes.
Maybe even first point consultation.
Yes.
And you'd have paid maybe a minimum 2,000.
Yes.
You know, because it says a minimum of 1 hour.
Yes.
Minimum is 2,000.
Yes.
And 4,000.
Yes.
Well, it depends on your years at the bar, the lawyer you are meeting.
Yes.
If the lawyer is 10 years and more,
above,
then the minimum is 2,000 and the maximum is 4,000.
Yes.
Now, you are saying as the fees have been regulated, it says 30,000 cedis.
Yes.
And this person wants a divorce. They are dying in the marriage.
Yes.
And they want a divorce. And yet they have to pay 30,000 to a lawyer to start the case.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they can't afford it.
Yes.
So when they come to you, you can take 5,000 cedis to help do a few things and still help them. That's what you mean.
But that's too much.
That's too much, eh?
Not to be competing with the
All right.
So, but basically,
lawyers.
it's just at least getting something from the person who is able to give
your stationery and other
yes,
things.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, there's something. The B part says, prior to the grant of an application for legal aid, determine the amount the applicant shall pay towards costs previously awarded in respect of the proceedings. You know, costs arises in cases, especially in the civil cases. So, you know how human beings are. If he gets the money at the end of the case, he will run away. You won't see the person. We being a commission is much more worse off because we don't know how to meet the person or where even the person came from. So then you discuss that.
Right.
I'm going to take 10% of anything that you are going to accrue.
Anything that I am going to get for you as legal aid lawyers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For the commission.
Right.
Not legal aid.
Okay. So legal aid commission represents you. At the start, you don't pay a dime. You don't actually have the money, and they win a case for you, and you are getting say 100,000 cedis, and they say they will take 10% of that.
So we have that agreement before the commencement.
I think that's no robbery. That's actually being kind. Rashid, you are calling from Kintampo, and when you are done, Abraham, you are calling from Boga. Let's hear your questions.
Good afternoon to you and then your guest.
Welcome. Go ahead.
I'm very happy this program is on air, but I think we can still do more to get the general public being aware of this commission. And I'm also happy that the Attorney General has given, has changed the commission from legal aid team to commission naturally. I did my national service at the office in 2017, and we were having so many challenges.
Okay. So you are simply asking for more awareness creation in communities on. We'll find out whether you do that. Thank you. Let's go to Abraham. Hello, Abraham.
Hello.
Yes. What sort of help do you need?
Mine has to do with, I think, I don't know if I should mention the organization's name, but I want to know whether it is reasonable. I qualify. I have a case here. I booked the ticket with an airline, and then I couldn't use the ticket, so I asked for a refund. It took me about 5 months and still counting. And I don't have the refund. They always tell me.
Okay, so you are seeking a refund from an airline, and you want to do that through legal aid. Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Ask him how much you paid for.
How much did you pay for this ticket?
How much?
I paid 602 cedis.
600. 602 cedis.
He must let us know how much he earns.
How much do you earn?
And the work he does.
I earn approximately 6,000 a month.
Approximately 6,000 a month.
Yes.
Okay.
He's disqualified. So
okay,
we don't want to render him any service.
You are disqualified. You will not get the service. You can afford it.
We can advise him to take an action.
Okay.
Yes, to get a private lawyer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Mohammed, you are calling from Tamale. Yes, Mohammed, go ahead.
Mr. Samson, we are very happy for this program, but I have a question for my panelists to clear for us.
Please go ahead.
What about, do they have any service for Maybe when you are able to visit our prison service, prison establishment, you'll find out that there are people on remand for a while. Or if it happens, they arrest your native, and you want to plea on that person. Is there any process, or what's the process are you supposed to go through? Or if that person does not even relate to you, you are an NGO and you have to, you visit and sue that some people have been in remand for a long time and they've never been to this.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. Your question is noted and it will be answered. Jones, you are calling from Denu.
Yeah, my question is just simple. Your office location is not very appropriate. If you can actually in Accra.
Office location where?
In Accra.
The office in Accra?
Yes.
Okay, but you are calling from Denu, so why are you talking about the office in Accra?
Yeah, I have an issue in Accra, precisely Medina.
Okay, thank you. So, Jones in Denu, office location problem. I'm sure you cannot resolve that. But Mohammed had asked whether, I think you answered that earlier.
Yes.
That it doesn't have to be you yourself. Yes. If you're already in prison or something.
Yes. Even the prison officials, they have the paralegal unit.
Right.
They bring cases to the office.
Okay.
You can fill the form on behalf of anyone. So
sometimes,
let's say,
as part of our sensitization, every year during the Legal Aid Week, we actually go to the prisons with application forms.
Okay.
So that we get the prison officers to give us the remand list, those who are, and then we do it. In Sawam Prison High Court, I have more than 20 cases.
Oh, great, great. Thank you very much. So someone can fill the form on behalf of someone else. Yeah. It must not be you yourself going there physically all the time. Desmond, you're calling from, is it Nungwa? Let's hear you, Desmond.
To you and then,
Desmond, please speak up. Go ahead quickly with your question.
Okay, so this year, January, I was driving and then my daughter, when the person was taken to the hospital, he finally died. And the case has been
sorry, Desmond, hold on, but we can't hear you clearly. Start again.
I said that somewhere in January this year, I was driving and then I knocked someone down. We took him to the hospital, but he finally died. The case is pending in court, waiting for Attorney General's advice. But somewhere in September, I had a scholarship to go and pursue my PhD, but because the case has not been finalized, I couldn't go. And then I had received another offer that I'm supposed to give in March next year, but still the case has not been finalized. I want to know if...
Okay, Desmond, you are not asking for legal aid. We are taking questions on legal aid. I'm sorry, but you can call after the show. I can assist you. Achere, you are calling from Accra.
Hi, Samson. Good afternoon.
Hi, let's hear you, Achere.
So I'd like to find out whether currently legal aid has any technology innovation that they are using so that people can access legal aid without necessarily walking in.
Thank you.
So if there are any facilities of...
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, who will take that?
I know there are telephone lines. Unfortunately, I don't have it here. We could leave those lines, you know.
Okay, so calling by phone?
Yes, by phone.
To the office?
Yeah, we have lines.
No, but I think she's asking, Achere is asking, that we are in the digital age.
We also have a
email.
We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. And by close of this program,
right? But I get that. Yeah. All of those things good. It's good to have a presence on social media and to be able to be accessed through email and so on.
Yes.
But can I go online and fill the application form requesting for legal aid?
Yes.
I think that's the question.
Yes, there is. There is actually the www.lac.gov.gh.
www.lac.gov.gh. Okay.
There's a portion where you can fill.
Okay.
There's a portion where you can fill a complaint and then forward it. Yes.
Okay.
We have an IT unit that would access those issues.
All right. I'll take my last call and I'll get my guests to wrap up the discussion. it does appear that we may need around 2 to take time and let them share all their presence tools and the rest of them. I've just Googled www.lag.gov. Joyce, you're calling from Tema. Let's hear you.
Oh, okay. What I want to ask is, I have an issue in the court, divorce.
Yes, and you have a lawyer or you don't?
I don't have a lawyer.
I see.
I don't have a lawyer.
Do you work? Do you work?
No, I don't work.
You don't
For
work?
the past 10 years now, the man has not been paying rent.
You don't earn any money?
No, I was working, but during COVID time, I'm not working anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want legal aid? You want a lawyer?
Yeah, I want some advice.
Okay. So you have been told now. You have been told now how to go about this. So you walk to the legal aid office. You'll be giving a form. You will fill it, and then they will see if you are qualified, and
But
you may get
Can
representation.
I quickly ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Please, during court time, during court.
It's been arrested for 2 years now.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. It's getting really terrible. All I think you should do now is very simple. Get to legal aid, and then you get assistance. I said my last call. My last call will be Wisdom. You're calling from the Volta region. Hello, Wisdom.
Please, yes. I'm saying, hello.
Wisdom, go ahead.
Yeah. I've been arrested for 2 years now for this Transporter Togo land issue. When I went, the judge allowed him to be bailed. But when we went to the lawyer, he said that I should bring some money for him to do fill the distance for me. When I went, he promised me just last Friday. When I went, this lawyer refused coming to the court.
Which lawyer?
You have a lawyer?
Yes.
But your lawyer is not giving you the services you need?
Please, yes.
Yes, just kick them out. Change them. Or you can't afford another lawyer.
Please, I don't have enough money.
But Samson, the catchword is you were able to engage the services of a private lawyer. You should be able to maintain it.
Okay. Wisdom, I think you can still visit the legal aid office in the Volta region and then let them give you some advice. If they feel that where you have gotten to, you can't afford and they want to assist you, fair enough. But otherwise, please, if you have a lawyer, and please, a lawyer is someone you have hired. If you hire somebody and they are doing your work and you are not happy with it, what do you do? Okay, kick them out. All right, thank you very much. This is the law. It's your legal light. It's your health law. And we are treating how to access legal aid. And my guests have been Nancy Tete and Sani Mahmoud Abdul Rashid, all from the legal aid office. And I'd like them, they have just a minute each to wrap up. Still on this main subject, accessing legal aid. We should do a part 2, get to know some of the problems that you encounter, the difficulties, and you know what sort of help you two may need. You said you two you need legal aid.
Definitely.
All right. So what will you say for us to close?
We are there for the needy. We are there for the vulnerable, especially the indigent women who are known to be vulnerable. We are there for you. So come to our offices.
Okay. And as I told you earlier, they have offices all over the country, as in the original 10 regions. Okay. Yes, Sani.
Yes. All I have to say is that we are there for them, and if anybody has any issues for which they need clarification, they can always walk into the offices and make some inquiries. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. They say if you need them and you have any doubts, just walk into their offices. Just ask wherever you are. Just ask. You are looking for the legal aid office. In fact, if you go to the court area, ask the people around the court, maybe the registrar or the court people, where's the legal aid office? Or you can go to the assembly and ask them, where's the legal aid office? don't think that they are not present where you are. They kept using the word indigent. Indigent simply means poor, needy. Okay, that's what it means. And my guests have been Sani Mahmood Abdul Rashid, public defender, and also the legal aid officer, the Legal Aid Commission. Nancy Tete in Accra. Nancy Tete is also legal officer at the Legal Aid Commission. We have been treating how to access legal aid. And for your sake, we'll discuss with my production team. We may bring you a part 2 of this to assist you a lot further in this direction. I'm Samson Lardy Anyenini. Good afternoon, and see you next week, God willing.